Yep, it's that time of the month again. Time for my monthly wrap up. G'day, I'm Kathy. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about what I got up to in May. I know you guys haven't seen much of me because I took several weeks off from YouTube. I think the 9th of May is the day I brought out my very first video 2 years ago now. And in all that time, I think I've only ever taken a week off. So it's been really nice just not having to do anything YouTube related. I'm one of these very disciplined people who, even though there's no pressure on me to bring out videos, I do it like clockwork. I bring out a video every single week. And this is the first time that I've done nothing in relation to YouTube for 2 years. And I think I really needed it. Regardless, now that I'm back, I will be answering all your comments because I love that part of it. In fact, out of everything, that's what I miss the most, was actually interacting with all of you. So you can expect a reply to your comment sometime in the future. So what did I get up to since I didn't do YouTube? Well, I just relaxed. Yeah, I really did. It's cold now in Melbourne because May is the last month in autumn. So winter is really here as far as I'm concerned. It will get a little bit colder, but I've reached the point now I have to have my heaters on every day. Surprisingly though, the humidity has still been very high. I haven't really needed to run my humidifier all that much. Very surprising. And my new split system air conditioner is marvelous. I can't get over how much better it is than my old one. In fact, I'm often having to turn the temperature down because it just gets too hot. It will get colder, so I guess I'll find out when it's really cold just how strong it is, but so far it seems much more powerful than my old one. And I'm not having to turn on heaters in other rooms yet, which I always do usually in winter. Hopefully this one will be enough to keep most of the house warm. So that's really good. And it's also really quiet. Yeah, every time I recorded in winter previously, my old air conditioner was so loud that I'd have to switch it off and then I'd get cold while I was recording. So if you ever saw me shivering in a video, that's why. But now I can leave it on, you can't hear it. So I love that. What else did I get up to? Oh, well, I should mention that we had our national elections and Mr. Scott Morrison was defeated. Hallelujah. Okay, I was celebrating. I was jumping up and down and having a little happy dance because I am not a fan of this man at all, and I was so happy that he lost the election. Yeah, I'm not the only one. I've actually been talking to people who are Liberal supporters, usually have completely different views from me, and even they are happy that he's gone. Yeah, what he has done, some of his policies, especially in relation to women and in relation to an integrity commission, because they don't want to be held accountable for their actions. Or climate change. Wow, yeah, climate change. His whole attitude, his whole government's attitude towards these issues has been appalling. And there was such a major swing against his party, which is the Conservative Party in Australia. We, like many other countries, have a two major party system. We have the Liberals, which is a misnomer because they're usually ultra conservative, and then we have Labor, which used to be much more left but is now more centre, I would say. They had a swing even against them. I think everyone is just tired of the two parties that we have in Australia. They just are so similar that it feels like whether you vote for one or the other, there's not going to be much difference. But I just couldn't stand Morrison and so many mistakes he made during his run that I'm very happy that he's gone, and we already have a new Prime Minister, Albanese. He is the leader of the Labor Party. Unlike other countries where it takes a while for them to get sworn in, he was sworn in, I think, within a couple of days. So he is our current Prime Minister. Yeah. Anyway, so that was a major change, I guess, in the Australian landscape. I guess we will see just what the Labor Party will do. I'm not expecting them to make any major changes. I don't even expect them to fulfill all their promises because no party seems to anymore. But I guess we'll see. Hopefully there'll be some improvements. Yeah, hopefully. Anyway, what else? Well, because I wasn't working on YouTube, I finally got around to doing the cataloguing of all my books because I have a lot of books. I had started this project about 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been using Calibre, which is an ebook manager. I actually have all my ebooks in that, and rather than using 2 different computer programs, I thought I can use this for all my physical books as well. But man, it just takes so long to type up the titles and the authors. I don't use the ISBN because I don't need that. All I want is a list of every single book I own. And lucky for me, I had actually done most of the books, I think 90% of them. The only ones I hadn't included were all my reference books and a few that I couldn't see the full title, because rather than pulling out each individual book, we just took photos of all the spines and then I just went through it that way. But of course, I have bought so many books since I did this catalogue 5 years ago that I've added several hundred more to my list. I haven't finished because I don't work on it all the time. I get really bored. So what I do is I do a little bit of that, a few hours of that, and then I play some games, or man, I go shopping, yeah, because I am addicted to buying books. Yeah, I really am. I'm gonna have to do another book haul because I bought so many books, but I've been buying secondhand books. That was the problem with doing this cataloguing, is that I noticed I don't have, say, a complete set of a series, or I have 2 hardcovers and 1 trade paperback, and I like them to be matching sets. So I've been looking for secondhand books, and I've been finding them for very reasonable prices, much cheaper than what you would pay if you bought them new. And I generally like to buy nice copies, but I've been paying around $20 odd, 20 to 30, depending upon how difficult it is to find. But I think that's a great price. I'm also getting the more recently published books of some of my favorite authors, like Scott Turow, who writes legal thrillers. And for some reason, I was missing 2 of Stephen King's latest books, which are short stories. And I know why I didn't buy them, because they were $50 or $60. Brand new, that is. I bought them for $20 each, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. Yeah, my cousin Stacey, I'm blaming her. She told me about World of Books, which is a website which sells a lot of secondhand books, and I've been finding real treasures there. I found several of the Jim Butcher Dresden files in hardcovers, so I've been adding those as well. It seems they're always getting in new stock, and there's a lot of variety. I think they're located in England though, and yet it's free postage, so it's like, it's still worth buying. Yeah, so I've been doing way too much shopping. Yeah, that's the thing. I find, oh, I haven't got this, or I haven't got that, or I thought I had this book and I don't, so I go out and buy it. And this is something else that surprised me. I never realized that some of my books, which I thought were the complete collection of, say, a particular author, wasn't. I've had my Sherlock Holmes hardcover for donkey's years, and I realized it was only the short stories, and I thought, what? So now I have to go out and buy the complete Sherlock Holmes, because I'd like to reread that at some point in the future, sometime soon anyway. But the same happened with Edgar Allan Poe and my Lovecraft. My Lovecraft isn't complete. I don't have Grimm's fairy tales. I always thought I had them. So I have to buy that as well. Well, I don't have to. I want to buy it, yeah. But way too much shopping. Yeah, really, way too much shopping. I guess, well, why the hell not, right? It's not like I spend a lot of money anyway. I'm not a big social butterfly. I don't go out all that much, especially in winter. I tend to save a lot of money in winter because I don't go anywhere. I just don't like going out when it's cold. I really am a bear in winter. I hibernate most of the time. So it means I save money. And I try to pace myself. I try to. Yeah, I don't think this is going to stop anytime soon. I'm not buying a lot of new books though. And really, I've got more than enough new authors to read. I need to get through these before I buy any more. Yeah, that's what I say now, right? Yeah. I'll get into what I'm reading a little bit later. Now I'm just telling you generally what I've been doing. I did get these glasses done with the new lenses, which is awesome, but they changed the nose guards and they just don't seem to fit as comfortably as they used to. Still, they're actually better than my other pair, which is so frustrating. I have had this other pair adjusted at least 6 times now and I still can't get them right. They're still hurting my ears or they're slipping down my nose and it's driving me nuts. So back to the old ones, but at least now they have the same lenses and I guess I'm supposed to see better, right? But when you reach a certain age, the change in your prescription is usually minimal. Well, something really big, I guess, that did happen in May is that all my life, I've known that I've got a neurological condition, but they've never been able to properly diagnose it. It is just called peripheral neuropathy of unknown etiology, which basically means they don't know what it is. I've always known that my condition had a unique combination of symptoms. That's what I was told since I was very young, but they never knew what it was. And because there's been such huge advancements with genetics, they've been asking me to do genetic tests, and I have done several over the years. Again, they weren't quite able to pinpoint what my condition was. They finally have. Yeah, after all this time, 45 years it took for me to finally have a diagnosis as to my condition. Apparently, I have Charcot-Marie-Tooth's disease class 4. It's apparently very rare. It's not going to change anything. It's not like there's any miracle cure, but hey, I actually have a label for it now. So that was something pretty damn big that happened in May. Okay, what else did I get up to? Like I said, not all that much. No, I still haven't finished the jumper I had started several months ago, and I've actually decided not to finish it now because I won't be able to wear it until spring. So I thought, fine, I can finish it off then. I've done the body, I just have the sleeves to do. So I put that aside and I've started a new jumper. I've decided I want to knit another one like this. I just love this jumper. It's very simple. It's just got the cabling on the arms and the rest of it is just straight knitting. It's really fast because this wool is much thicker, the needles are thicker, so they just fly. And I've just started it, so I guess we'll see how long that will take me. I always go over my half-hour limit and I have to reset my camera. Okay, because it is now cold, the heat is on, at night I really do love knitting and watching things on TV. I can't just knit, I have to watch something as well. And I can't just watch TV without knitting. And I haven't been watching a lot of Supernatural. I think I ended up taking a bit of a break because everyone was telling me that since I love Hercule Poirot so much from the Agatha Christie books, I should watch the series with David Suchet, I think his name is. I think the series came out in the 90s and there's 13 seasons. So I thought, okay, I'll watch a few episodes, see if I like it. And I love it. Oh my God, yeah. He is just the quintessential Poirot. I can understand why everyone thinks of him when they think of somebody who portrays this character. He has captured him perfectly. But most of the earlier episodes are based on the short stories, which I haven't read. So of course I had to read the short stories so that I could watch the episodes, because I can't do it the other way around. But I'm really enjoying it, and I'm already up to season 4. They're not all true to the source material though, which I think is deliberate to make it more interesting, or because they are based on short stories, so the writers of the series flesh them out a bit. The only thing I don't like is sometimes they give away too much too soon. Or perhaps that's because I already know what's going to happen. So I feel like, no, they shouldn't have said that now. They should have left it for another time. But other than that, I'm just loving this show. I love this actor as Poirot. I think the actor who plays Hastings is perfect. And Jap is much nicer on the show than he is in the books, I think. The only time I stop watching is when I haven't read the book, because I do still have a few books to go. So Poirot is what I've been watching the most of. I'm also still finishing off the Vikings. I don't have that many episodes to watch, but I'm just not that interested in watching a lot of it. I have not been watching any YouTube. No, I really did take a complete break from YouTube. Not just doing it, but also watching it. And other than doing this cataloging, of course I've been reading, right? Yeah, no surprise there. But I'm really trying to mix it up. Like if I read all night one night, the next night I'll make a point of watching TV and doing some knitting. Usually not the whole night. Usually I'll take a break and then I'll start reading again, but at least it's more balanced, I think. I'm trying anyway, unless it's a book that I just can't put down, which did happen last month. So what did I read? I read several Agatha Christie books, not Poirot's. I'm trying to also get through some of her other books that don't have the character of Hercule Poirot. So I read Sparkling Cyanide, which was good. It was good actually. And Pale Horse. That one was interesting. It kind of had this almost supernatural element to it. And I thought, no, not if it is Agatha Christie, but who knows? It's been years since I've read her books. But I did enjoy that one, though it was much more predictable than some of her others, I think. And then I read several of her short story collections, if not all of them. I think I've read all of them now. I found that most of those, they don't all have original stories. Some of them are repeated in several of the books. Also, some of the short stories have been expanded into full novels, so I was like, this sounds very familiar, and I realized it was pretty much the same, just a shorter version of the full novel. But I read, what did I read? The Three Blind Mice collection, the Underdog collection, the Adventure of the Christmas Pudding, Poirot's Early Cases, and part of, I think, the Regatta Mystery collection. Some of these short stories are also Marple ones, which I have already read, and some I think have the Tuppence characters. I haven't read those books yet, so I haven't read the short stories yet. I thought I'll read the books and short stories together. I might read that next, I don't know. I most likely will read more Agatha Christie books, maybe not Poirot ones just yet. I'm saving those for last because Poirot's are my favourite books, and Christie does have quite a few others, so I thought I may as well read those before I get to the Poirot ones. What else did I read? I finally read this, Golden Sun. Yes, this is the second book in the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown. Yeah, and when I finished this, I immediately started the third book. So I've read the first trilogy completely. Oh man, did I love this. Wow. This was such a good book. So was the third one, actually. I just loved the last two books. Sometimes sequels are not always better. Sometimes. But in my experience with books, generally sequels can be better because the authors improved, they honed their skills. Golden Sun, wow, I love this so much. And it ended on a cliffhanger, and I'm so glad that the series is finished and I didn't have to wait a year or two for the next book because I don't think I could have coped. But wow, worth it. Yeah, definitely has become a favorite of mine. I am going to be reviewing the book, so I don't want to go into too much, but what I do want to say is this is such a great series. Yeah. I know that some people don't like it. I'm not sure why. It is written in the first person. It's present tense, which I don't like, and I don't like first person narratives anyway. But honestly, you get so engrossed in the story that you completely forget about that. So the two Pierce Brown books were a huge highlight for me. He has got two others in a second trilogy, but I know the third's not coming out till the end of the year or next year, and I've decided I'm not going to read those until all three are out. But I can't believe I waited so long to read this one. I certainly didn't wait for Morning Star. I didn't do anything else. I just read these two one after the other. And wow, yeah, I'm still blown away how much I love them. So I highly recommend this series. So I read those two, and I also read Joe Hill Horns. I was watching a video by another YouTuber several months ago. Jason, I think his name is. He reads a lot of horror and he loves Stephen King, as do I. And Joe Hill is actually Stephen King's son. I've already read one of his books, The Heart-Shaped Box, I think. But Jason was saying how good Horns was. So I thought, okay, I have to read this. It has been made into a film with Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, but I haven't seen the film. So I thought, fine, let's read this since Jason loved it so much. And I really enjoyed it, but boy, it is a little heart-wrenching at times. Yeah. I like the premise though. It was about a character who wakes up one morning with actual physical horns on his head. He was accused of murdering and raping his girlfriend, but he was not charged, and yet suspicion follows him everywhere. And it kind of ruined his life, losing the love of his life. And these horns have special abilities, and that's all I'm going to say. I like his writing style. He has a good grasp of language, and I like his descriptions, but it's his characters that I think are really fascinating. Just like his father's characters are always the most fascinating. I did really enjoy Horns. It didn't blow me away though. However, if you don't like horror, and I don't even know if it's that horrific, there is some violence, of course, given that we're talking about a murder, but it was a good book. Not a great book though, I will say. I then read Dawn Spell by Catherine Kern, which is the third book in the first act of her Deveri cycle. This one I actually really enjoyed. Yes, much more than the first two. And I enjoyed it so much that I decided I'll finish the first act. So I read book 4 as well, which is Dragon Spell. I still do not like Rodri, no. He is one of the main characters. I have never liked him throughout the books. But I really love Nevin, who is a main character. He is a very powerful magician, and I really like Jill's character, though sometimes she does annoy me. And I adore Salamander, who is a half elf. He is hilarious, actually. He really lifted the books for me. Plus the books were now moving along towards their conclusion, because the books are divided into different acts, and the first act is only 4 books. I did like the way the series concluded, except I thought the major confrontation between Nevin and the old one was just so anticlimactic. I didn't like that at all. Regardless, I'm still intending to read the other books, but I'm going to take a break. I'm going to read another old fantasy author. I don't know which one yet, before I start the next act. And the last book that I'm reading at the moment, I haven't finished it yet. It is my classic of the month, and that is 1984. I have read this many, many years ago, and I've been really wanting to reread it. And I've just started it last night, and I'm really enjoying it. Big Brother, double speak, double think. Yeah, the Thought Police. Wow, yeah, this is an iconic book. And something I never realised, because I found out only recently, my best friend told me this. Apparently, 1984 was based on Russia, or that is the inspiration that Orwell took in creating 1984. I never knew that. And it's interesting now reading the book knowing this, because I'm looking at the book through a different lens now. Anyway, I haven't finished it yet, but hopefully soon. So altogether, it will probably end up being around 13 books, roughly. About the same as last month, interestingly enough. What I am intending to read next month is I want to finish the Benedict Jacker Alex Verus books. I've read 5, I have 7 to go, so I'm definitely going to read those. Other than that, I have no idea. You guys will find out next month. Yeah. Okay, so now, as usual, I leave the plants till last, and I'll start briefly with my garden. I actually have bulbs in my fridge ready to get planted, and I keep forgetting to ring my gardener to come and do it. It's probably going to be too late, but yeah, I'll have to remember to do that next week. My coleuses, I have brought in 2 large pots from outside. I've put them indoors because I know they will die in the winter. I have my big pot of coleuses in the front. At the moment, it's still doing okay. If it's starting to suffer, and I find it's usually towards the middle or late winter, I might move it into the garage. I did that last year and it survived, so I might do that, but at the moment it can stay where it is. I also brought in a couple of my houseplants that were living outdoors for the spring and summer because I wanted them to grow. I have one here, so I'm going to show you. It is this, my deranged starfish. Yeah, this is my Cylindrica sansevieria or Dracaena, if you prefer that term. He has put on so much growth from being outdoors, and I just love his shape. Yeah, he sits on my TV cabinet. He doesn't mind coming indoors, and I'm very sparing with watering him. I also brought in my Sansevieria Dracaena trifasciata laurentii, which has the yellow banding around the common snake plant. This was the one that lost so many leaves because it rotted from when I sprayed it with sea salt, and it put out so much growth, but I really like it inside. So she's living indoors for now, and maybe in spring I might put her out again. Haven't decided, I guess we'll see. But other than the possums, yeah, everything is still looking very green and lush, just not lots of flowers. As for my indoor plants, you know, they're doing really well. Yeah, I don't really have deaths to report like I usually do. I still have my Calathea Freddy. It still hasn't died, not entirely, but it's not doing any better. Another one that hasn't been doing well, and this has kind of broken my heart, is my Devil's Ivy, which my cousin gave me. He's the one who inspired me to start collecting plants. I had really long vines on that, and it kind of broke off from the top of the pot, and I propagated it and put it back, and yet now it's down to hardly anything. I've got several propagations going, hoping to at least resurrect some of these long vines and plant them back in the pot, but she looks pathetic. Yeah, really sad. My battery died because I always talk too much. Anyway, I've put it in my north-facing window, just here actually. I have another Epipremnum aureum there, my Goldilocks, and that one is just killing her. So I thought maybe my Devil's Ivy will do as well there. I guess we'll see. Yeah, but it does look really sad at the moment. So the plants I wanted to talk about that are doing really well include my Peperomia Marcello. I actually killed mine. Yeah, it was a beautiful little plant and it just started deteriorating last year and it died. But I did take some cuttings. I had them in my prop box, I think, for at least 6-8 months, and I finally put them in a pot and it is thriving. So I might have resurrected this. I'm so happy. It wasn't a very difficult plant to look after like some of the peperomias. I was surprised that I nearly ended up killing her, but she's doing great. So I had to show you this one because I thought I had lost this one entirely. The second plant I wanted to talk about is my Calathea, or it could be Japertia Beauty Star. This one, beautiful plant. I used to have it in my living room. It did very well. I've had it 2 years now, and at least a year ago it got spider mites, or I thought it did, and I sprayed it with my white oil solution. Wow, she did not like that at all. No. For almost a year she didn't put out any growth. She looked pathetic actually. She didn't die, but she just didn't look good. She had a lot of crispy edges and she was just not a happy plant. I had her next to the humidifier. It did not improve anything. So I thought, let's try her with brighter light. And I hung her in my east-facing window and she has exploded. She's put out all this growth. This is what she wanted. She doesn't care about humidity. She cares about better light. So she is doing so much better. She still has the old leaves which are going to die off eventually, but the new growth is looking great. I might even repot her in spring, give her a bigger pot and see if she's even happier. Because I have found with some of my plants, even though they didn't strictly need a repotting, as soon as I put them in a little bit more soil, they exploded. Yeah, like my Maranta, my red vein, even my Calathea Makoyana. They both have just grown so much from being in larger pots. I usually go up one size. That seems to be enough for them to just do really well. So I might do that with my Beauty Star in spring. And the last plant I want to talk about is my Monstera Adansonii. I love this plant. I just love how it looks, exactly like Swiss cheese. This plant did really well for me, and then last year it started getting crispy leaves. I've never had that issue with the Adansonii, and I've had that for over 2 years now, and just look at her now. I showed this plant in my houseplant tour, which I brought out in November. She looked really sad, But she just put out so much growth over the summer, and she's looking now lush and full and just gorgeous. I love this plant. It's so unusual looking, and I normally don't have an issue with her. But I'm fairly convinced it must have been overwatering or the sea salt. And now that her watering is more consistent, she's just happy again. And this is just another plant that has kind of come back to life for me, so I had to share it with you guys. Let me know if you've had any plants which you thought were at death's door and then just made a comeback. I find that so exciting when you can save a plant, because that's what I call her. I know we don't always succeed, God knows I don't, but it's really nice to see them coming back to life and hopefully recovering completely, just like the Adansonii has. Well, I think I have rambled way too much today. Let me know what you guys got up to in May. Tell me what you've been reading, what you've been watching, what you've been doing. Tell me how your spring has been if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, or how your autumn has been if you live in the Southern Hemisphere. You know, I always want to hear. Thank you all so very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'm actually glad to be back and talking to you guys, because I have missed talking to you all. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, you can do the usual. You can like, comment, or subscribe if you haven't already. Hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you next time. Bye! The 9th of May is the day I first brought out my first. Oh God, I'm rusty. Yeah, I'm rusty.